Welcome back to another episode of Double Vision. I'm Dev. This is Nathan.
And today we're going to be talking about mental health. But first, I've got a joke.
Here comes a cracker. Christmas.
Why do hummingbirds hum? Because they don't know the words. Anyway,
Classic.
mental health.
Yes, mental health. Big topic today.
I wonder if we should start by do we want to tell our own stories of how it's affected our mental health, like having vision loss?
Yeah. Let's go. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'm very happy to go first.
Yeah.
So I was diagnosed at 19 with cone rod dystrophy and was told in not the best wording that I was going to be blind by the age of 30. I didn't know what that meant. I assumed that would mean I had no vision whatsoever, and kind of saw that as a sentence. Other vocabulary I didn't have were things like depression and anxiety. I just thought, I just don't feel great today. So, and some days that would take days, weeks to go away. Some days I'd lock myself away for days on end, not eating, not going out, not speaking to anyone, and just really struggling with the depression, not knowing that that's what it was. I just thought, I'm losing my vision. Of course I feel pretty crap. That makes sense, right? But
yeah.
Little did I know I actually had to feel like that. It was really tough. I used to get very anxious about going to things, and sometimes I'd just not go. Sometimes I'd only go if certain people were there that I knew could support me. It was really quite tough. And then one day I remember being in this depression. This one was actually gotten probably the worst it was. I'd left my job through nothing related to depression. I'd come out of a relationship that maybe because we related to depression, never really dove into that. And was just finding things really tough. And I thought, this can't be how this works. And fortunately, I Googled it. And at the time, Oxfordshire Association for the Blind, that's now My Vision Oxfordshire. I was going to point to the screen. I thought we had our logo on at the back. I had a counsellor, and I got to counselling. I came in, I met other visually impaired people, and that made a hell of a lot of difference. And on the other side to that, I had a friend who was a personal trainer, and he knew what I was going through, and he came and got me out of bed every morning and made me go for a run. And he guided me, and I can never thank him enough for that. Like, he gave me the exercise and the endorphins that I needed to get through the day. I didn't give me a choice. My parents even let him into my house to get me out of that bed. So, and over time it rebuilt. I built my confidence up. I guess owned my disability, started using a cane, applied for a guide dog, found work again, fortunately, and everything started going great again from there. And I still have challenges now, but I still can feel sometimes like a depression might be coming in, but I feel like I've got the tools to deal with it. I still get very anxious, especially in unfamiliar situations, but I think that's completely normal.
Yeah.
I know how to deal with it. So I'm never going to say my mental health is perfect, but it is certainly in a much better place than it used to be. I attribute that to the counselling, regular exercise, and talking to other people who've been through it. It makes a massive difference.
Yeah, shared experiences and all that. Mine is very similar to you. So I was diagnosed when I was 7 with retinitis pigmentosa, and that was only because I would sit so close to the TV when watching TV that my mum was like, this is a bit unusual. So took me to the local opticians, and then they kind of diagnosed me with this eye condition. So we went to a hospital in London after being referred by the opticians, and that was Moorfields, kind of one of the leading eye hospitals, I guess. Well, that's what we thought anyway. And they, again, vocab, how they said it, they said he could go blind. So for me, hearing he could go blind kind of gave me hope, but at the same time, I had so much more sight than I do now. I kind of didn't really know what that meant, because when I thought of blindness, I thought close my eyes and that's all I can see. But how could someone, when you're in your sort of teenage years now, how could you go blind when I can still see, it didn't really feel like I could go blind. So I hid it quite well, I guess. Probably now looking back, it was awfully hidden, but I tried to hide it. So I went through mainstream school, primary school, college. My first sort of college, I went to an animal college to learn animal behavior and things like that. And I did hide it throughout that whole time. But the mental health side of it is I was always trying to be something maybe I wasn't, just trying to be like bounce, like, I don't even know, sort of like the class clown, basically, trying to deflect this loss of sight that apparently I could have, and trying to just be like the class clown. Everyone thinks I'm funny rather than seeing my weaknesses, which is my sight. And obviously, as I moved on through the years, and then I did go to Sparshot College to learn animal behavior, that's when my sight did actually start to affect me a bit more. So one example was when we're having to go and write answers off the board onto our handout worksheets, and they've turned off the lights. And I'm like, great, because I obviously suffer from night blindness. As soon as the lights are off and I'm trying to fill out this worksheet, can't see what I'm doing. And I always remember my mate was sat next to me and he hadn't copied something off the board. So he's then leant over to look at what I've written on my sheet. And he said, you haven't wrote anything down? And I'm like, I have. And I got really self-conscious. So I tried to hide it with my body. But that was like my sort of first step of, oh gosh, like now someone knows that I'm sort of losing my sight. And another one actually is when we were obviously being boys and messing around at college, and someone knocked my glasses off, and it was kind of like Scooby-Doo, like knocked my glasses off, couldn't find them. I was like, where's my glasses? I can't see about my glasses. And then one of my mates like, are you blind or something? They're right here. And I thought, oh, great. So it's just kind of these things that are edged in my memory of knowing the word blind associated with like a negative thought in terms of, oh, great, when people use blind, it's in a negative way towards me. So I did try and hide it for much longer, and that's probably where it got a bit too much, and it was a build-up of emotions, and eventually there's only so many times that you can walk into a lamppost as you're growing up and trying to hide an eye condition where you then need to seek help. And that's probably where my mental health was taking a battering, is I tried to put it down to the back of my mind, and it actually wasn't working as much as I thought it was. Like, as much as I'm like, oh yes, I'm not seeking counselling and all that, it was actually I was affecting myself in other ways. So then eventually, when I got into my 20s, I did then seek some counselling, and I got put into like group counselling with RNIB. I only had one session because the group that we did it with, I was sort of in my 20s. The youngest person in there after me was 76, and the oldest was 94. And they were it was three ladies, and for me, I wanted to know how someone with no sight navigates sort of the nightlife, like going out clubbing and that. Obviously, in the conversation with them, so I can't really be like, so how does anyone find the urinal when they go into the toilet? Because that might be a bit of a different conversation. But for me, I kind of pushed it away because of that, because I was like, actually, this isn't helpful for me. But they actually taught me a lot now I look back at it, because it was my first sort of step of accepting my sight loss and speaking to people that have also got some sort of visual impairment. And then from that, we branched off and actually became quite close group of friends, apart from the 93-year-old, whilst we were having the counselling for an hour, decides that she's going to fall asleep during the session. So we just had someone snoring. But yeah, went from that, kind of had to leave my job farming. Obviously, Nathan, you know not much about my farming life, but maybe one day I'll tell you more about it. So left that, went to RNC, and that's kind of where I found my mental health actually improved, is being around people with visual impairment, because there's a lot more things that I can relate to. I don't know if you found this, Nathan. So like if you go to a party or something, you knock a drink over around sighted people, I always felt quite embarrassed and felt quite clumsy. But when you're with visually impaired people, it's kind of like the running joke of like, oh, how many drinks have you knocked over this week and all that. So
it's not even how many drinks have you had, it's how many drinks have you not had.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those experiences in terms of, I found counselling did help, but I found when someone's asking me the questions, I would try and deflect it. I didn't really want to accept my sight loss in that way, so I pushed that away. But when I was around people that also have some form of visual impairment, it helped me to understand myself. Like seeing people like you, and obviously working with quite a lot of our staff who have some form of visual impairment as well, it's helped me understand myself that it is okay to kind of not be okay. And everyone here, we're all very supportive of each other. We know when it's like a bad day and all of that, and kind of we all handle it in different ways. But it's just having those people that you can have a chat about this sort of stuff with, and they understand, rather than when you're speaking to someone that's sighted and you're talking about, oh, when it gets to night, I can't see, or trying to navigate the world with a cane, and the person that's sighted is like, oh, I totally know where you're coming from. You think, what? Are you blind as well? Is this true?
Yeah. Like, it's like you don't.
No, so you don't have that sort of relatable conversation. So yeah, I think we were, just in terms of what I was trying to say, is kind of, I probably went about it in a different way, tried to hide it as I grew up, but that affected me in a different way. Of I had a built up emotion and it kind of exploded one day, and then now I've gone the other way of acceptance.
Yeah, I mean, mine built up for a while, because it was like between that part where it was really bad and diagnosis, and when it was really bad, was probably 8 years, which felt like forever at the time. I think like these days I've got fairly good mental health. There's still some things that trigger me to go, oh, being visually impaired is so super hard.
Yeah.
You know, when my daughter comes to me and said, let's read, and holds a book out that I can't read.
Yeah.
That hits me hard. Some days, some days when you're just a bit clumsier than usual.
Yeah.
And then you're just walking into things more than usual.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, I just quit being visually impaired today.
Who put that door there that's been here since I've grown up? And all
that? But you have to be so on point with stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're not, it's tough.
I literally said this, out of 100 times, you only have to be unlucky once out of that 100 times, and it can affect your whole day, whole week, whole month. And that's where it can then be a slippery slope of the isolation side of it. Literally this week, I thought I was getting to the traffic lights and I missed the bumps, and I ended up walking past the traffic lights and I was suddenly in the road.
Yeah.
And I went into sort of like a panic mode of, what have I done? Like, how have I missed this? And then I kind of overthink the whole situation. So I managed to navigate myself back, but it did affect me that evening of, God, some days you just think, why me?
And you need time to deflate at that point, don't you? So what do you do when you've had a bad day like that? What do you do to get over it?
For me, I found physical exercise is massive for me to just clear my head and all that. So I will try and go to the gym or go on an exercise bike, or even just go for a walk out in the sort of woods, just because it helps me to clear my head.
I'm not reset.
I'm not really one of those that can really talk my emotions to someone. It doesn't do much for me as such. I know I need to improve on that, but for me, it's trying to get that physical exercise to then kind of clear my head that helps me massively. Yeah. Or sometimes, I'm now going to contradict myself, but I will speak to someone that is kind of got like a visual impairment, just to say like, oh, how do you find this? Or what do you do? Just because it's that shared experience, and what they might do gives me ideas. Yeah. And you?
I think sometimes I make sure I tell people it's not going well today, and not to keep asking me, am I okay? Yeah. Because at one point I'm just going to go, I'm not, and then burst into tears. I'm not going to do that. No. And then, I try to do a reset, whether it's listening to a book I enjoy, or like getting some exercise, doing something fun, playing with my daughter.
Takes your mind off it.
Just refilling on that.
Yeah. Like a reset.
And then I try to learn from things, but it's really tough when it's just like just having an accident, like someone left a glass on a table that I can't see, and I knock it over. That's not my fault. And then I want to go and have a go at them, but that doesn't solve the problem.
No.
Yeah. So
it's kind of like if you went to a restaurant, you smash a glass, and you kind of think everyone's looking at you, but at the same time, we could have been in the restaurant and someone else has smashed a glass, and you're still having a conversation. So it's trying to sometimes just take a breath, give yourself a minute, and sometimes you've got to be kind to yourself. I think being kind to yourself is a massive part of helping with your mental health.
I find my mental health and the physical stuff like knocking things over and having mistakes is worse when I get tired. So
Yeah.
like, plan breaks into your week, your
Mhm.
month. Say if I've got a really busy month, I need to take a couple of days to myself, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But for me, the main one, talking to other people, like talk to other people who go through this too. Just get that mutual understanding that, you know, this is tough. There isn't an easy way to get this right.
Yeah. I think because
you just got to muddle through sometimes.
We're quite lucky in our sort of roles that we are around people that are visually impaired all the time, so we can have that conversation. But I would say for those people that don't have that support, family, friends, loved ones, they're key. But social media, there's social media like different Facebook pages that you can go on. If you sort of type in your eye condition, there's sort of support forums, isn't there?
If you're in Oxfordshire, pick up the phone. 01865 725
Great plug there. Great plug.
Also speak to Andreas. He's lovely.
Yeah.
He gets it. Like, yeah.
Even sometimes like an Alexa. Just talk to an Alexa if you're feeling down. Just ask it. Tell me a joke. It might put a smile on your face, or you might think it's a bit cringy. I don't really like that joke. But yeah, just as I said, just be kind to yourself. But I don't know if there's anything else that you would say in terms of like with mental health.
Like, I think sometimes it's important to realize that you're allowed to have mental health issues that are not visual impairment related.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, just because being visually impaired is hard doesn't mean other things aren't hard. So, I certainly had this with other people when I was losing, like, when I was going through a lot of the vision loss. Someone came to me with one of their problems, I'd be like, yeah, but it's not as bad as vision loss. And I used to be angry with them.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone's biggest problem is their biggest problem. So try to be compassionate for that, but also realizing yourself that if you've got a mental health challenge that isn't vision loss, that still can be a big deal.
And if I looked back, if there was one thing I could tell myself younger, Dev, I would just say, just I keep saying it, be kind to yourself, and there is no right or wrong way of looking at life. It's just trying to make sure that you're open to everyone. I think one thing that sticks out to me is, which probably led to me bottling things up quite a lot, is, as I said, is when I heard the word blind, people reacted sort of, it was like a negative word to me. And I always remember the doctor told me, he literally sat myself and my mum down and said to me, at the age of 17, your son will never drive. And I just went into sort of a deer in headlights sort of situation. Yeah. But my mum just burst out crying. But now I've looked and I'm 33 now, and I don't think I would have. Driving has not been something I've always wanted to do, but look at the positives. I've got a train pass, I've got a bus pass. I can literally go anywhere.
Don't have to pay for a car.
Don't have to pay. No. So there are positives. I wish I was just a bit more open with myself instead of hiding how I felt when I was younger. But yeah, is there anything you would tell yourself, younger Nate?
I'd love to be able to tell myself that everything's going to be okay, but would I believe myself? Probably not. Yeah. Like, it's all worked out the way I thought it. I would have liked life to go in terms of what I've achieved, and you know where my kind of family is and stuff like that. Yeah. I wouldn't have believed myself at the time. I didn't know any other visually impaired people. I didn't know people worked and had families and owned their own home. It's nice to be able to know that. It would have been nice to know that can all be worked out. Yeah, and I think this day and age, how sort of social media's sort of grown massively, I probably needed someone like myself when I was younger to come into schools and talk to us, like what we did today. It's why we do our jobs. Doing our jobs, raising awareness about sight loss, because all I had when I was growing up to do, I came from a small town. I only ever saw like elderly people with a hat, dark sunglasses and a cane, and kind of just sit in a coffee shop, and that's all I ever saw. I never really had any other. Or their Stevie Wonder or David Blunkett. Yeah. And they're fantastic individuals, but I can't sing like that, and I don't want to be a politician.
No, but now obviously we've got like social media, TikTok. There's so many people doing TikTok now that are visually impaired. Normal people. It's just normalizing it every day. And sometimes you can just laugh about it. It does add to the entertainment world. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can accidentally walk into a female's toilet, but I have to laugh about it.
Accident.
I have to laugh about it, otherwise I'll be like, oh, this is not fair. I can't see. But it just adds to that extra layer of comedic value. But
if you can laugh at it, great. I think actually after a heavy episode like this, should we do one on funny stories that we've had? Yeah, let's do it.
A funny story of during our sight loss.
Yeah, let's do that next.
Okay.
Cool. So, this has been Double Vision. It's been quite a heavy episode.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for listening. So like, subscribe, and share all to platforms that you have.
And if you have any topics you'd like us to discuss, or if you want to join us for an episode, please give us a shout.
And please drop a comment underneath so we can hear your stories. Take care.
#Devilicious.
#Double Vision.